Now, we haven't seen PRX play yet, so talk me through, you guys, about their map pool, what we can expect from them.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like with PRX, there's always going to be a pick your poison. I don't think you want to play Bind or Fracture versus them, really. They're incredible at both of those maps, but the only one they don't really play is Split. Well, they play a bit and it didn't go great.
Yeah, I mean, that's a map that they were really good at on Reykjavik, but that double duelist comp that they ran back then, a little difficult to still maintain in this meta. Guild has also been very, very reactive with their ban, so it's not surprising them to bind ban to avoid that Yoru that you broke down earlier.
Yeah, Fracture. Like you said, Tom, pick your poison. Do you feel like this was the right poison to pick?
I think maybe the better of the two. I think playing against their Yoru is really difficult and something you'd specifically have to prep against. I don't think their composition on Fracture's crazy, but they are crazy with the way that they play it.
Yeah, I kind of disagree. I think their composition on Fracture is insane. They have Neon Rays and then Viper only. Like,
yeah, I guess.
That is wild in comparison to what you're used to seeing with the standard. Obviously, PRX, you're always going to get unstandard. I kind of am, I don't know, Guild kind of win this veto to me, just barely, because they're playing maps that they're really leaning on at this tournament only recently. So there's not a lot to have prepped for before, and it's something that they've had success. And PRX, I think those are some of the, outside of Fracture, that's their kind of bread and butter with the comp, kind of the style that they're always going to go for, someplace where you can be surprised by the pace. Outside of that, Ascent is not necessarily a map that they're going anything crazy on. An Icebox, I mean, they do play Jet Chamber, but that's standard as all can be.
Whatever happens, I hope we get 3 maps. I just want as many rounds as possible with these 2 teams. We are going to take a quick break here, but don't worry, Agent Select is on the way. Well, it's been a couple of months since we've seen a Benkai walkout. The good news is him and the rest of PRX are standing by, ready to take on Guild. Guild have been absolutely phenomenal so far in this tournament, but the question is, have they finally met their match in PRX today? And yeah, it's great to see Forsaken kind of making it on stage. I saw a picture of him, but also the dinosaur costume. I'm sure there's a story behind this. There is a story.
I think they lost their luggage again, so it's just whatever he can get from the costume store. That's what he's been wearing all day.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, like I said, do you guys feel like, Tom, Guild maybe meeting their match today? Maybe today's the day they drop a series?
It's going to be interesting, because I think especially going into map 1, if I'm not mistaken, they haven't actually played it since the group stage where they play versus BBL. So chances are the comp that they're going to be running is nothing that will have ever been seen before by their opposition, because at that point, Trex was still playing Killjoy.
Yeah.
And they've done a couple different role swaps to, for example, Russ get off some of the agents that he's played, move more towards the Sage on a lot of instances. So it's a hard sell, though, for me to, try to say PRX is going to be their biggest matchup yet, because they already played Optic. Yeah. They already played Crew. They already played a team that beat Loud, essentially. So it's a really hard sell. But now that we're in playoffs, like I said, we reset. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, I think so. I think we do reset. And in terms of the team compositions, like you guys said, this was also pre-Fade days for Guild. They didn't play Fade for the longest time. Yeah. Tom and Barley, do you guys feel like we might get the Fade out of them? Is that a good idea here for them today?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think an awful lot of teams are running Fade on this map at the moment. I think it really works for teams especially. I think FPX have proven how good that agent really can be.
Yeah, I think a lot of the teams in the EU have really shown that Fade, the Fade Raze comps that they're playing on that map are phenomenal, and they have the pieces to do it, right? Trex is a great raise no matter what map he's on, so don't put him on that Killjoy, which is what they used to be playing him on, and let's see some of that fade raise stuff.
And what about the chamber? Because again, Safe was on Jet for the longest time on this map as well.
His chamber is nasty. I would be really surprised if he's not going to run it. Just if you're going to change the rest of the comp, I'd be gobsmacked if they keep running the Jet.
Yeah, it depends on what else they need, though.
Yeah.
But also, I don't mind the Jet on this map. I think it's very playable.
Yeah.
I think so too. But on the other side of this, of course, PRX, they've had a great run on this map in terms of domestic, but obviously the last time we saw them play internationally, didn't go super well for them. They ended up losing, and of course, it's a different comp now for them as well, but they're sticking with the Astra.
Yeah, I think, again, it's another thing you can just combo in with Jing. Like, we even saw one of the plays that they made earlier on where they had their little setups to almost just give Jing the space to run in. Jing is always going to want to run in, and then you almost have Forsaken as, I kind of want to say backup, which is weird, because on every other map that's not the case, but I think on this map, that's actually what they do. They have him as almost just like holding portions of the map out, and he will catch you if you try and rotate.
Yeah, if it slows down like that, it's very difficult for a Chamber to get in that front of line type of play. And I think that's why most maps, they're actually running Benkai, or sorry, not Benkai, Defy on the Chamber. It's really, really interesting to see how this is going to play out because, again, Guild we haven't seen, and PRX, it's one that's, I would say, very unstandard for them to play because of the way that they want to lean into double duelists, they want to lean into Jet still with Forsaken, or in some cases Euro 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if PRX changes things up as well. We can't just look at that history and say they're going to come in with it, because we have seen Yoru played on this map by Optic, and I also saw the potential ideas that they run on Bind, for example, to work really, really well on this map.
Wouldn't that be a spanner though, knowing that like, oh, Guild, they've had time to prep for us. We're just going to make sure to make you throw everything out the window, which would be a very, very PRX way to do it. I also got to remind you guys, as you see in your screens, Forsaken is not on stage right now. He is playing off-site. I know you guys raised some issues in terms of synergy, but as we head into the Prime Gaming Agent Select, he's fortunately probably going to be running on the Chamber. So does that
I'm going to wait and see. Like, I feel like we always talk about, like, they could be doing this, but until it actually comes through, I think
well,
about it. But, yeah.
Safe has moved over, like
or
you said.
Already, some of the changes. Actually, the Astra coming through might actually be just to try and match up on the other side. This is something that happens quite regularly, is the Guild try and match the comp that is being run on the other side and just try and do it better.
Yeah, this is a completely new look for Guild. What do you guys think? You like it?
They've mirror matched.
100%. This is good. I mean, we were just talking about how some of the role swaps that they've shown so far here at Copenhagen, this leads directly into it. This leads into Trex being one of the highest played and good raises at the tournament. And this also continues to give Leo a lot of space to support his team, but be a monster on his own.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. It's time to see what PRX and Guild can bring in the playoff stage of Valorant Masters Copenhagen. I'm going to send this up to your casters for the game. It is Sideshow and Bren.
Thank you very much, Sue and the desk crew. Yes, let's get this one underway. It's the beginning of the playoffs, finally, in Copenhagen. And a turning point, Josh, honestly. In the entire tournament overall, this is where the pressure really starts to mount. This is where it all starts to get online, even though there is a low bracket. You know, there's some part of a buffer,
But this is where the big teams, the #1 seeds, the teams like PRX, who earned their spot in the playoffs before the tournament even began, that's where they start to come in. And we get a test for these group stage phenoms like Guild. Because, sure, you can run through the groups, and sure, you might even be able to beat the defending champion, but can you keep that streak? Can you keep that form going? I think one thing they've got in their back pocket here as they start on Defense Guild is that there is no way you would know what composition they were going to run here. They have brought a new comp to every map, and Safe starts things off.
Yeah, off the riff. You already see it. Kills coming through, and I mean, Guild off to a fantastic start. Just a bit of pressure being applied into mid, but Mindfreak, okay. Just looks his way over there. Star now going to be activated. Smoke popped off, trying to create a bit of space, and PRX already into the site. Bit of a denial of space with that fragment nade up onto heaven.
And look how patient Guild are. They're playing this one for retake, allowing PRX in, and then they're going to collapse on top of them.
Spikes got down. Guild been playing for their retakes over and over and over again so far in this event, but now Utility's going to start to come flying. Haunt into the flash to try and get themselves out onto the site. Smoked off on main. PRX might have to start making a play here.
Here comes Mindfreak. Back behind. He went on the long flank all the way around through mid.
Pop flash play. The timing needs to be impeccable here. Mindfreak's coming through. Do they even know he's here? He's found the pick, still a 2v2.5 on the defuse. How does Benkai find that one? And Leo not allowed the luxury of just trying to stick that one through the pistol round, going away with PRX.
Incredible performance from PRX to drag that one back, and what a decision from Mindfreak. He pushed out through tree, went all the way down mid and wrapped around heaven, and I was looking at that on the minimap, Brendan, and I thought, there's no way he has enough time. There is simply no way. And yet the rest of PRX flashing through the smoke, applying pressure onto the plant, bought time for Mindfreak, who also opened things up through tree in the first place.
Yeah.
And the pistol round, Brent, is going to be a small little sample of what you've got for the entirety of this series. Guild have come into this tournament with a brand new strategy, which is to play retake, retake, retake. On their defense side, they are playing 75% of the time for retake. And as PRX barrel their way in and Trex goes down, this doesn't look like Guild are going to be able to do too much here with pistols in their hands.
Yeah, decent damage done, but not going to be afforded any of those Spectres that would drop down to the ground. This really is a battle, honestly. PRX, such an aggressive team. The executes of the crazy compositions. I mean, Desk was highlighting it over and over and over again. They really do feel like sometimes that unstoppable object. Yeah. Guild can play so slow. Sometimes they are just immovable.
It is. It is the definition of that kind of matchup, the fast v slow. I think this one's going to be the bull against the matador in this sense, and we'll see whether the matador ends up getting gored at the end of this, because PRX are going to charge into sites, play aggressive. They get most of their kills in the first 10 seconds of the round, and they tend to plant within 20. That is rapid. No one else in the tournament plays like that. And like I said, Guild are going to try and just tire them out.
Any other analogies you want to use for this one? Run through the I mean, I didn't write too many down before this one, but
PRX, though, fantastic team. And they've got off to a good start here. And Guild, of course, are going to have opportunities to turn this one around now that they have rifles back in their hands.
That's right. That's the important factor now coming into this round, is that the money situation for Guild are going to be getting that buy online. Just deciding where they want to be playing this one in terms of the defensive setup. You can see that knife's going to be sent into A main. Bit of information going to be gained for Russ. Something is not destroyed. Backs away. Safe has worked his way into Wine.
Yeah, that's off the back of the knife. You know, as the attacking side, they're unlikely to step into that defensive 0 point. And so it buys a timing for Safe to slip his way in. PRX, though, so quick. After making a little bit of noise in A main, they're back over into B. And it looks like they're going for the hit already.
Yeah, but Horn straight over the top actually finds his way onto the site. As well, just trying to anchor and lock this one down. What a transfer! Trex finding 2, you've got to be joking. And it looks like Guild have got this more than on lock. All up to Mindfreak with only the Bulldog.
He found a pick on Russ, who was trying to help the rest of his players by sprinting through Catwalk. Mindfreak already living up to his role as the lurker on PRX. But this would be a pretty monumental clutch.
Yeah, everything against him here. Door closed, spikes dropped, there's only so many angles that can come from the jiggle. Peek.
A little strange by Coldamenta there.
Yeah, now they know. See what's happening here. Trying to peek off of the Prowler. Do not give him this many opportunities.
Oh, that was close.
Barely squeaked out by Safe.
What a way that would have been.
Holy.
For PRX to go up 3-0, but it's not quite there. Mindfreak 5-1, can't quite close that one out. And it was a great job by Trex and Coldamenta to anchor the site and stop PRX from getting through the front door.
The decision being made there to even deny the post plant before they even got through. Obviously, that crossfire that set up. They had a very good read on it overall. Now, turning into this round here. Losing all those players means that it's a bit of a hefty reinvestment from Guild. They wanted to try and get back into this one. Coldamenta's only working with the judge.
You say only, but he's tucked up close to A main here in a position where he could do tons of damage.
Yeah, this is where it really shines, isn't it? But the smoke's in the way, but already right around the side. Showstopper in his hands. Jinx making magic, but short work. Coldamenta just trying to hold down that choke point, only finding the one. PRX getting control of the site. Oh boy, that's going to be spot and you Forsaken. Maya have to dip
That's
out.
rough. I mean, he is walled off here. He manages to get his rendezvous down and teleport away. But on the other side of things, Jing's gone aggressive without anybody to support. And those are the moments that Guild are going to relish.
That's going to be the Nightfall used aggressively. Forsaken just swinging into this one. One kill found, and the players of Guild. No sound cues, no knowledge. Just have to use their eyes, see if they can jump spot anything at all. Leo as well is going to use that prowl. Let's see if he can clear a corner, but at this point, Safe is positioning so far back. Are they just looking to save this?
Safe has a rifle. Leo just now acquiring one, so I think that's the silver lining. PRX Forsaken, not going to let him get away with this.
Oh, I think Leo spotted it, yeah. The ping was there. He knows the Forsaken's hunting him. They've got to know he's in market, but I mean, he wants these guns, doesn't he? The angle, okay.
Bit of a left-sided view model moment there, potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
Overall, though, look at how that round played out. PRX got into the site, and unfortunately, Coldamenta wasn't able to get more than one with the judge. Great trade from Benkai. But in the post-plant, PRX are going to continue to push. And Guild haven't played against a team like that this tournament.
No.
They've played against teams that take the site, and then they hold, you know? A gentlemanly battle.
Post-plant utility, a little bit further back, maybe.
But PRX are going to fight you. They're not going to allow Guild to group up and play for these perfect retakes. And that is why PRX have been winning over 80% of their post-plants in APAC. They never let their opponents get comfortable.
They are monsters in that capacity.
So even while it seems like a great idea, yeah, play for the retake, allow PRX to use all their util, might not work in practice.
A week goodbye, obviously, so Coldamenta gets some information, but pays for it with his life. See, there was a seize in play, but what
from
stacks over
Forsaken
here. Yeah, Forsaken has worked his way incredibly deep onto the upper side.
And already PRX have conditioned Guild to over-rotate, and they're already abusing it, with Forsaken working his way through. You might think this a little bit too much, perhaps, pushing all the way into spawn and donating a Vandal. I love the idea of Forsaken taking the B site, but that was a little too much.
Yeah. Really just, you can hold the space there, and Guild are so fast onto this one, already taking all the space, pushing past the Cosmic Divide. They're not content with just sitting back and waiting for it, but there's so much time on the clock, the way this is played out. It's another rotation.
And Mindfreak pushed past his own Cosmic Divide to hear the rotates through spawn. So he knew 3 players had come over to B, and he gives the info to his team. Go A, run
back and forth, and Trex, well, caught with the rotation. Only 1 player left standing, it's Safe. Can't deny the plant. Jing just running rings around him. And that is going to be the 4th round on the board here for PRX. The back and forth and the mid-round calls by both of these teams. You can feel just this game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, awesome rotates around the map by PRX. I do think that was a bit of an overextension from Forsaken, but the way in which they're using very heavy early round pressure to force defensive rotates, and then lurking. And at the beginning of the round, Forsaken was the one that lurked and opened up the B site for them. In the middle of the round, it was Mindfreak that opened up the middle of the map, got information, and allowed them to go A. Great decision-making in the mid-round here from PRX. Something that they've massively improved since Iceland, and they finished 4th in Iceland.
They only look stronger, don't they? Still no slouches, of course. They've been showcasing, I think, that they've certainly leveled up coming through the group stage. They've defeated many an opponent, but up against PRX, you can see the hit's going to start to come through with an old command, another double satchel play. Trademark's going to be triggered off to the side, but Jing's already deep into hell.
The fast push from Coldamenta, up, and Mindfreak's waiting for it.
Yeah.
If Coldamenta gets a little too aggressive on this one, he will surely be punished.
Astral 4.
The Astral 4.
No way, man! He just catches the awful timing. Unfortunate for Coldamenta, but the team that they still want to fight for this Guild. Only 3 players left standing against the 5 of them, and this crossfire is brutal to try and work your way into. So much to try and deal with. The Haunt will tag and latch itself onto 2 of the targets. It reveals the information, but just not enough bodies for Guild. They just can't contend with this.
Not at all. And all of these retake attempts have been stopped before Guild can even set up. Safe though, finding 2. It's back, but there's no time. Leo's already bailed out. And it's going to be a 5th on the board for PRX. Their way of getting into the sites is clean, but Guild are allowing them to do that. Guild want to play for retake. And the real fight in this map is coming down to what happens in the post-plant. And it's PRX being able to find picks, to throw aggression in there. And I just want to emphasize again how good Guild have been this tournament so far with their retake strategy. They've been playing retake 3/4 of the time, which is absurd. I've never seen a team do that.
What's the average?
The average, okay, for the teams that play retake the most, Bren, we're talking about teams like Fnatic. They play about 65% of the time. 75% of the time is another wave on top of that. And then the best teams in the world for retakes will be winning about 1/3 of the time.
Right.
Guild are winning 45% of the time. If you take that win condition away from Guild, if PRX are able to win their post plants and they're being allowed to get into post plants for free or with little resistance, this is going to spell devastation for Guild on their map pick.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way around this with an adaptation. Obviously, that's why the timeout's called.
And what is the adaptation? Do you try and lean into your strengths and set up quicker for the retakes? Or do you try and stop them from getting into the site? I think this is going to be a real challenge for Coldamenta to get to grips with this team. There is no one in the tournament who plays like PRX.
This composition that they are playing, it's pretty effective, I think, at denying the post plants in the first place. You have a lot of tools to work with.
Absolutely.
You got the pulls, you got the C's, the nade. So much at your disposal if you want to try and slow down a lot of those hits, but it comes down to that mentality shift, I suppose, but adaptation. Do you change up the way you've been playing this entire tournament so far?
It's possible. We've seen a brand new Guild at this event, playing new comps, playing new maps. It does look almost like a different team. And Leo and Trex are playing like advanced versions of themselves, but haven't quite got going yet in the map. They've never been able to take comfortable fights. And so here again, we see the same kind of thing coming out from PRX. On the anti-eco, they throw early utility over towards A main, and they're grouping up at B. Trying to make it seem like a default, when in fact all 5 players are at tiles.
The space gain. Look at Leo holding a bit of utility. Is he going to be able to be comboed with anything, though? There's a flash to try and re-clear into B main. Smoke dropped off. Coldman's playing inside of it. The Boombot revealed his exact location. Spam down. And again, that push and pull of rotations, the half by round. I mean, Leo's working with the rifle safe. Does have that tour de force. You can see the discipline is there from PRX, making sure that they jiggle these angles. They don't want to be caught unaware.
Looking like they want to go for a B split here. There's going to be 3 players ready to receive. But no great equipment on anybody other than Leo. He's got to be the star right now for Guild if they want a chance in this eco round.
Forsaken just chatting out of control, honestly. Just barreling his way through. Now a bit of contact play, but he runs his way in. Showstopper as well. That was in action. I believe Jing in mid. Doesn't really get too much done with it. Still, it's all up to Leo. Does have the rifle, but the spam through that Odin. The wall pen. Leo's caught. What's up to say? I mean, I've seen some just absolutely absurd stuff from various chamber players. This would be on another level.
And Day5 bringing the Odin into the round to find awesome value with it. PRX's trading and discipline is a lot better than last we saw them. If you haven't been following APAC, if you only tune in for the big global events, you will still see the same glimpses of Forsaken and Jing running in, taking duels, the creative, aggressive,
play.
Yes, hyper-confident plays. But what you need to appreciate now is that Mindfreak, Divine, Benkai have gotten so much tighter at supporting them. The trades, the discipline, the macro game is all there. Are we going to see an aggressive play out of Guild this round? They have Safe and Trex playing up towards mid, almost looking to pick a fight.
The adaptation, it seems, now that they're on the buy, Safe does have this operator. The timing is very unfortunate, but luckily the kill is there. Benkai falling. It's going to throw a wrench into the plans of PRX, but it looks like they might not want to slow down. All the players grouping up towards B main. That's going to be the C's tagging to the player. Fragment Nade, PRX still want to be committing this utility now. You can see them starting to swarm into the site, but they were not ready.
What an outplay!
Trex over the top as well. That Showstopper putting in good work. Down to the 2v3. Jing locked away in market. Do they know about this slight off angle off the elevation? Heads being found. Now it's a 2v2. Josh is still 54 seconds left, but Safe. Beautiful work with the operator.
Yeah, doing his job perfectly there. Not allowing himself to get caught out on sight. Repositions and punishes Jing. Mindfreak has been a clutch monster, though.
The 1-2 tap, you've got to be kidding!
This
Red Bull clutch!
This team is so insane in the clutch. Mindfreak almost winning a 1v3. He's 10-4 right now, whilst just cleaning up The janitor is in session.
The crosshair placement here as well, it's just immaculate.
It's so good.
We'll see it at the end of this, but it's as well, I mean, avoiding the position of being played as well, just in case they pop flash through, which they did to get space. So he avoids the flash, and he's holding wide for the swing.
And just hard reading that second player is going to come live. PRX, by the numbers, are the most clutch team we have in the tournament, and I think you're seeing it. A lot of that actually usually comes from Forsaken, but the rest of the team is also bonkers good.
Yeah, it's quite a task as well. Safe so far this tournament has been putting up some of the highest percentages of clutches. Forsaken still willing to take this fight though. Of course favoured. Vandal in his back pocket, Divide, there's the Odin. Oh, you're just seeing all of it come together, the layers on top.
He's just putting down suppressing fire for the rest of FPX as they go in.
That the rest of the team they can't get to, don't worry, Divide's going to be there.
And look at this aggression already, never allowing Guild to set up for a reasonable retake. They're pushing him.
I mean, this is so outlandish.
They're slapping him around.
So outlandish.
Guild, so far in this tournament, have been playing the best Valorant they've ever put together as a 5-man, as individuals, as anything. And yet they're getting tossed around in this game.
Yeah.
Like a rag doll.
I mean, the desk was talking about it. The numbers that Guild have been putting up, these guys, Trex and Leo, they've been top 5 in terms of the ACS. Numerous other categories as well. They've been ranking incredibly high. But it's just, I mean, PRX making a mockery of the numbers. Throwing them out the window, shredding them up.
Their star players, Leo and Trex, haven't even been able to take the same kind of duels that they have been winning all tournament. Here's a chamber battle. Safe. Recall smoke. Nice idea.
About avoids it, yeah. The rendezvous to get to safety, just backing away, and it's a slower start to the attack round. Mindfree, you can see him just wants to claim a bit of the space up. Russ just peeking for the information, but he's opened himself up.
Here.
Forsaken capitalizing.
Yeah. Getting antsy. And Russ goes down first.
Face your fear!
Excellent reply from Safe and a fake into A with the Cosmic Divide. And it forces Leo's ultimate out. There's nobody there.
Showstopper as well on top. I mean, this should really sell it. 3 players still locked around, but Guild, they've got to recognize at this point, though, no players have worked their way in. Still, the Cosmic Divide, it cut off a lot of the sound cues. It's going to be down to Safe. Alone onto the site. Does still have the operator. One quick scope. Haunt's got to get destroyed, though, and now his positioning is known and just spammed. From afar, the Odin's still in play. Divide takes care of him easily enough. A bit of a satchel play, though. Guild are fast on the approach. Trex and Leo, dynamic duo, and finally they're finding their footing.
It takes them a while. Woo. Round 10 before Guild have a response. But it is that duo of Leo and Trex. Fast on the retake, finding their form, punishing Jing. And also Safe doing a great job early in the round to have that instant reply to take things back down to a 4v4. And also the quickscope on the player that was pushing him at market. And it's a great round from Safe. This kill in particular, reacting to Mindfreak pushing the smoke, could have got very dangerous.
It's so hard as well. He's under an immense amount of pressure with a Horde coming over the top as well. All the utility to try and clear him out of his angles. Yeah, he dies at the end, but the fact that he even gets the one there is quite astounding.
He's been the only player actually able to do too much when these hits have been coming through. I think part of the reason is that he has the ability to reposition so well, just by virtue of the agent he's playing. Can Guild recover the half? 4 would be the bare minimum to have any sort of comeback.
Permanent smoke popped off here. Safe is in a deeper angle. And look at that. Trademark was actually placed deep into mid there by Forsaken to try and clear out of the smoke. That was inside of it. It's got to be respected as well. As soon as the null command is popped off. Device side. Russ also going to be answering with one of his own. So, suppression across the board. No abilities really going to be used by either side. What is
and
this
here's the lurk. Here's the lurk. They've managed to get into the B site because the chamber trademark was turned off from Safe.
And Russ, what perfect, impeccable timing for him to take that fight into mid. 2 kills going to be claimed. He's helped out his team, but are they ready once more? Forsaken. He's taken all that space in the chaos of the situation, but now he needs to lock down market. The spam is there. It's all up to Benkai. It is all over the place, of course. The spike was dropped down, and that space is controlled. Regain, Coldmentor and Leo now playing together, making sure they don't give Benkai any openings.
He's going to get his Haunt back in a couple of seconds. But Leo and Coldmentor should be good for this one. Playing together, they now know the position.
Very difficult task for Benkai. The Haunt Shot by both the players who know that they're around the side, and with the Prowler to guide him, not enough. Leo will easily manage that threat.
Fantastic round by both teams there, though. PRX using their KO ultimate, not for a sight hit necessarily, but to go on a 4-1 split. 4 players pushing towards Catwalk, and as Safe got suppressed, his trademark stops being active over a B, and Forsaken takes that area of the map for them to rotate back to B. It's a bit of a, you know, it's a two-pronged attack. Either they get through Catwalk, or they can return back to B. But I really appreciate the way that Coldamentor and Leo dealt with it, reading the play, rotating back, and Russ did well in mid.
Absolutely. Well, flash over the top, it's just like an aggressive play from Guild. They want to try and at least use a decent amount of utility to see if they can get anything, and Safe was posted up into that wide angle. Sidestep, dodges the C's, but the horn in his face has to break that. Positioning is known.
Here's Forsaken again on the lurk. Take a look at the minimap. He's just taken the B site for them, and this becomes a fake. What was an A site hit becomes a fake off the back of the lurk play.
He overextended last time, and now he's going to be facing just the firing squad.
These ideas are so good, but they just can't help but push. This is the double-edged sword you get with Forsaken and Jing sometimes, where he's just done everything he needs to in the round by securing the B site. It just needs to play to contain and stop Guild coming back in, and instead delivers himself up on a silver platter. And now Guild get to reset their defensive positions, and it should be a much more difficult round for PRX to win.
Yeah, they've expended so much of their toolkit already just to try and get into the A site initially, so not a lot to work off, including losing those 2 players. And look at this. Just a jiggle peek slightly, spotting the player. That's going to be the nade to try and deny that lane positioning. And
they just walked in
as well. They have just contacted past. Mindfreak. He's got the angle. Russ will fall. Don't let this get dangerous now, Guild. Got an advantage here in the back of the site. Fort is going to have to get destroyed, but they have to hold this down with only 13 seconds remaining. The spike, it can be denied right through the box, and Trex knows where to spam. It's out. 8-4 is going to be the half.
It's a great recovery from Guild. The fact that they were down 7-1, 8-4 looks much more respectable with those final 3 rounds. But that's on defense side of Ascent. The side that they've picked, the map, or rather the map that they've picked on their favored side. That's a pretty brutal beginning to this series.
Yeah, and the question is, how do they continue this on the other side of things? Alice, that's going to break down the initial half, though, and we'll return to the action momentarily.
Thank you very much, Bren and Sideshow. PRX, they're here, and they're not here to mess around. They're here to win.
Yeah, no, they're into the sights within the first few seconds. And even when they are, sometimes you've got Forsaken's disgusting lurks that may have went a little bit overboard every once in a while, but it is ridiculous how much space they were taking.
It's crazy the amount that it was catching Guild off guard in the beginning of that half, right? Towards the end, they started expecting it. They started having multiple players. Even in that last round, they're just looking at Forsaken as he flanks through B. Those are the types of things that actually really made Guild struggle to find any space to read exactly how they're playing. This round right here, PRX with a nasty nade seize combo that catches Russ, and then they go ring around the rows of the entire map. This Astral Divide, they rotate back towards B after a Forsaken flank through mid, and then they get another rotation back through. Mindfreak smokes off the trip, finds another pick, and the round is over. That stuff is so difficult to deal with when you're Guild and you're trying to set up phase raid combos of your own.
Yeah, I think a lot of it as well comes down to, first, you've got the fact that Benkai calling a great game, but also Mindfreak, just his positioning as well. But we've got that head-to-head. The main reason I wanted to bring this up, though, is more so that I think going into the second half, we have to highlight Trex. I think he's someone that can have a high amount of impact. I think a lot of the time the executions from Guild are incredible, but he is that mantle. If he's having a bad game on this second half, it's done.
Yeah, I also, that defensive side for him, it's really difficult to place the utility in the specific spots when PRX is all over the map. I think the guy who led the team for Guild, who led the comeback at least to get 4 rounds, which is really difficult still going into the second half, is Safe, and he's still going to have massive impact because the op is what's going to carry the weight against people who are pushing you every single round.
Well, it's PRX. It's all PRX right now. They're dictating the pace. Like Tom and Bala said, some of the players on the side of Guild, they have to step up as we head into the second half. Sideshow and Bren, take us away.
Thank you very much, Sue. Yes, let's get right back into it. The second half of things. Guild's map pick of Ascent currently down in terms of the rounds, but the pistol round, a great opportunity, I think, for them to turn their fate around so far.
They're going to be banking on winning the pistol, winning the bonus, getting back into this game quickly, I think.
Yeah.
And when you're comparing the styles of these two teams, whereas PRX were into the sites within the first 10, 20 seconds looking for the plant, GLD are normally slower, more conserved, patient, attempting to punish, but this time, barreling in early.
They've been cut off though, the fragment need and a spam Mind Freak. He's handed an easy one. Player into the site though, space is going to be gained. Trex needs to do something, at least hold the crossfire. Look at all the damage that's being done. But the spike for GLD now, Russ is going to be just committing to that one, so the post-plant situation is in their hands. How they lock this one down though? A bit of miscoordination there. Flash over the top, Safe actually gets caught by it, and the Haunt as well. A lot of positioning revealed, and players are so weak on either side, but they just don't anticipate Leo on the bullets in the clip. The Frenzy not enough for him. In fact, Benkai is the one who gets two of them still. Russ, what can he do? Only the Ghost, so much pressure, but the reload in play, and Benkai with 4.
It's a fantastic pistol round retake for PRX, and potentially a death blow for GLD. They'll be wondering whether or not to force into the next, but for a moment, let's just consider how good that was from PRX's side. They went fast with 3 players through mid to B main, and this ruins most of your post-plant positioning. You want to hold players like Leo in that Logs position and have someone to play off at lane. When you're getting pushed from CT and B main at the same time by a ton of players, you just can't hold those level of crossfires. No. They had to abandon Leo. And GLD are now taking a timeout. You can see on your screen that for the moment, they've bought up Bulldog, 3 Spectres.
Got the plan.
They'll be discussing things with Barbar to cook up some kind of strategy for this next round.
It's important that they don't let the opportunity slip away from them.
Honestly, I think that from PRX's point of view, you could predict pretty confidently that GLD are going to go for this force. They got the spike down, they got a couple of kills, they're taking a timeout. Yep.
When you're down this many rounds, you need to try and turn the tide of it somehow. And they open up. I mean, GLD with the faster play, it's something that typically they're no strangers to just letting the round play out a little bit, the time tick down, absorbing any potential aggression. They were fast in that round, and it was shut down pretty heavily by the PRX response.
GLD actually like to mix in a lot of different pace of
a bit of conditioning maybe for the slow, and then mix in a fast play.
Yeah, they do occasionally have some fast rounds like PRX, but mostly they're going to be going for mid to late round hits into sites. And as you can see on your screen, GLD still with quite a bit to do in order to secure champions. There is a 3-way battle occurring between the 3 EMEA teams. And honestly, GLD were on the outside looking in, but their performance so far in the tournament has turned a lot of us into believers.
It's looked especially good. An early play by PRX. Expecting again some fast aggression, but GLD, they take it in a different direction. It's mid. It's the name of the game for them. Trex and Safe making sure that they can hold those off angles, but Forsaken with a judge. When do you ever anticipate this? Right up close and personal. It's a pop flash play. Russ was ready and waiting, potentially in the anti-flash position, but already Forsaken getting value out of it. Haunt up close and personal with a TP behind. What? Forsaken, you are an absolute maniac. 4 kills.
Oh, what a play. Forsaken decimating GLD and putting probably the final nail in the coffin for Ascent there.
Man.
That is a backbreaker for a round. Not only does he win the 1v2 with the judge in B main, taking down these players, but then he goes for the teleport back in behind Trex.
And I mean, obviously they're just like, well, okay. Being pressured from multiple fronts, but you just don't expect it. And the frustration.
Barbar has had a roller coaster, heart attack, central this tournament. And I'm sure this can't be good for him, watching GLD slowly slip away in this one. A thrifty round would be fantastic here to get a bit of confidence back into GLD. Forsaken, for a moment there, looked like he wanted to challenge aggressively over on Cat. Look how fast PRX are to just abandon extremities once they realize that GLD aren't doing anything fast and look towards the middle of the map. They currently have 3 players looking to fight that area. And A is only being held by, you know, the barest shred of utility.
Not too sure what the play would be here. I mean, it is just a bit of poking and prodding. And GLD have realized they need that mid-control. They can't just send everybody through the choke point onto A. With a trademark, I think, is going to trigger some sort of play off of it.
There's a Haunt from Benkai that clears out B, so they're pretty confident it's not going to be a B hit anytime soon. Mind Freak can see down mid.
Forsaken in a lot of trouble. How was he just disrespected him here? Doesn't choose to teleport away, but Jing's got his back. Swinging off of the play still. An attempt is made by Guild, but doesn't come to fruition.
Jing there to back up his boy Forsaken, and then Day5 coming around to back up Jing as well, with the players attempting to punish through B main. A decent idea by Guild, playing the map a little bit and poking out, feeling out where PRX are going to be playing. But just not quite enough.
Yeah, not quite enough. You can see just how in sync the dynamic duo of Forsaken and Jing. Just overall, these guys are just dominant.
And it's about to get more dangerous because Forsaken has an operator in his hands. Day5 picking up the Odin, with which he did tons of work. And there goes Russ immediately. First death.
I think Russ was jiggle peeking that as well. It was just being pre-aimed by Forsaken.
Russ has kind of been getting abused in these opening duels as well, on Ascent. Mostly been playing Sage so far this tournament, but goes back onto his more usual initiator role and just getting bullied.
Yeah. It's hard to, I think, keep up with the kind of tempo as well that PRX like to throw at you. And look at this! Oh, complete disrespect. Jing just holding by himself on Cat. Not much support, is there? Doesn't matter. Funny thing is his raw aim. In fact, take away the sound cues. Just make him just focus that much more.
He doesn't need his health. He doesn't need his ears. He'll just shoot you.
He'll just shoot you.
Remember, this is the player that goes for Reyna on Haven. He is perfectly happy taking raw aim duels anytime you like. Any day, call him up. He'll take a duel.
And the Prime Gaming Flawless, Josh, to put them on the map point.
Yeah. Oh, that is just so clean. If anyone was wondering, I wonder if Forsaken will end up playing a little worse than usual because he's not on the stage. He's got COVID right now. I was wondering the same thing myself. But he has not missed a beat. And there's a PRX HQ, and frankly, they're not... Oh, hello, where are we going here?
Fast play that we might have just missed out on a little bit, but it's okay.
That was a double blast pack
yeah,
with the showstopper from Jing. Like a shark attack play to crunch tiles.
Didn't come up with the goods though. Still Forsaken's holding close now with the judge. It's going to be the no command. They might just be walking right into this one. The flash! The discipline is there just to try and remove it, but Day5's at the bottom of the hell. Now the Ray's going to be played just out in the open. Leo's dealt with, and Jing's already responding. The crossfire there. Oh, no! You've got to be kidding me!
Oh, you can't be doing that,
it's filthy! Enough of this. The Guardian, Trex, oh my goodness! How has he converted it into this? 3 kills, enough shots going his way. It's down to this 1v1, but only 6 HP. Him versus Benkai to stay into the map. The repositioning, Benkai's already worked his way around. The timing, does Trex even know about this one? And the answer is no. 13-4 is a scoreline. And look at this, another day in the office, it seems like, for PRX.
Definitely.
Cool, calm, collected.
Cool, calm, collected. Didn't even break a sweat against the most overperforming team we've seen so far at Copenhagen. It was trivial on Guild's map pick.
Welcome to the playoffs, I guess.
And for PRX, just going to saying hello, saying thank you to Forsaken as he takes a stretch. But look at these map highlights. After one decent round for Guild on the defense side, they managed to string a few together at the end as well. But this was PRX putting on a masterclass and showcasing their style that they are going to be playing for the rest of the tournament. And you have to deal with them. They're not going to adjust to you.
That was one of the advantages that Guild had coming into this series, and it had been playing multiple different comps, a lot of unique compositions, changing up. They're a hard team to prep for, but PRX are the kind of team that force you to prep for them. They force you to read what they're doing and come up with answers on the fly. Great mid-round adaptations, I think, from Benkai with a lot of the calls that was happening. I mean, this was just a masterclass performance on this map.
It absolutely was, and I think when you look at somebody like Jing making his way back onto the stage, in my opinion, the most underrated player we have at the tournament, because he's world class and hasn't yet been discussed in that kind of that arena, because he's only had that one tournament run at Reykjavik where he's able to show himself. But he's just been filthy on everything he's played. Ends 20-14, and by the time he got to the end, he was just taking raw duels.
Just insane, absolutely insane. We're going to go to a short break on the other side of things. Of course, our desk break down the action and setting up a crucial map number 2. Don't go anywhere.
It's a great day to be a paper girl or a paper boy out there. I know you guys are having a lot of fun, and so are we. There was a lot of hype
So are they.
and anticipation. Yeah.
It's funny because the watch party that we showed, they looked like bored. They're like, yeah, this is normal.
They're too
When do
used
they
to
pull
an
out the fun
APAC.
stuff?
Yeah, they're too used to an APAC. But this is why I was going to ask you guys. You know, we had expectations. Have they been met? It's very early days, but have they been met?
Yeah, I mean, this map one was a stomp. It's exactly what we expected, exactly what we wanted from PRX. I think everybody wanted them to continue exactly the type of stuff that they did at Reykjavik and the type of stuff that they've been doing online. It's so fun to watch.
I think one of the most fun things about this matchup is when you talk about in-game leaders who've had success on multiple different teams, the list is very short. In fact, I think it might just be called a mentor. The fact is, Benkai, he's made some incredible calls throughout this matchup.
Dude, this guy Jing is literally that showstopper right there. He's not even looking. He's like, where's the guy? I'm just going to guess he's behind Jen, and he gets the kill. He's so good, and he's always making a play with something from PRX or some timing that he's trying to hit. Here, he's diving at his teammate who's getting pressured like crazy, Forsaken with the judge, and it nets him 2 kills for him.
You can't give them anything. You give them an inch, they take a mile, you know? You literally cannot make mistakes when you're with this team. I also want to touch on, though, Forsaken too when it comes to
106.
Yeah, I mean Jing and Forsaken as a duo, especially as you guys can see down there versus Trex and Leo. Trex and Leo are one of the most formidable duos of this entire tournament, and they made them look like just below average players on this map.
They're the guys who are having the best group stage.
Yes.
Like Leo of all time potentially, and now it's playoffs, and he's just gone because he's playing against Jing and Forsaken and PRX.
Yeah, I think even just watching back some of those clips, you just see the sheer confidence of Jing. It's like he gets seized down to 1 HP. Does he hide? No, he's like, I'm going to hold the angle. They won't expect me to just sit in the open and stare at them. But that's Jing. It's like, it feels like when they were like putting in elements of fear, they just forgot it with Jing. There's nothing there.
It's just pure confidence, isn't
Yes.
it? Pure confidence. Speaking of pure confidence, it's time to take a look at the Verizon high-speed moment. And it's PRX, so Tom, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, of course, of course. The fact that Divide basically spent the whole game using the Odin is just hilarious, but of course it's going to be this man again.
Yeah, Jing is a nasty, nasty boy. I mean, he just sits behind the smoke, waits for it to fade, and then gets 2 of them. It's so good from PRX, and Trex almost pulls it off, but this entire round felt super high pace, and eventually Jing is so Trex too, so good.
It's just got to be a tilter when you throw everything at them, nothing works, and then they just end up doing the craziest things. But I will say that Safe had 305 ACS on a map that he only got 4 rounds.
Yeah, I think he was flawless in opening kills as well. So it's not even like he was having a particularly bad performance. It's just that they got boomed.
And that is actually a good sign. I mean, not the booming part. They're down map 1, and they're going to Fracture next.
And it was their choice.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It was their counter.
But if Safe is getting 100% opening kill success rate, that is literally something that is a win condition against PRX. It's how Zeta Division took them down at last Reykjavik, and nobody else has been able to stop them because people haven't been able to put up numbers like Safe did in that map. But the rest of the team needs to understand how to fight back. For example, they took way too long to adapt to Forsaken's flanks.
This is the thing about Guild, right? In the past, when they're down, they're out. But recently, as they qualify for this tournament, and in this tournament, Tom, they have been down at times, but they're never out. They always find a way.
Yeah, I think the worry for me is that they went into Ascent with a clear game plan to try and, like, okay, this is a map we haven't played much. We'll go in and surprise them, and it just didn't really work.
And
now
we know what comp you're going to play.
Well, the other thing as well is you're going to know what they're going to do on Fracture. So is every other team that's played them on Fracture. They are super aggressive, and there is nothing you can do. They're just nothing.
I got nothing to say. It's true. Like, it's true. They play an unconventional comp, and they're playing Neon Rays at the same time, right? Because they're dropping an extra controller that you would use with Viper. So they're basically getting the double walls and sending it and doing what we saw on Ascent with them going on multiple sides of the maps at all times, just triple speed.
Well, I'm glad you guys mentioned Fracture. If we kind of go deeper into what we can expect from it, this is where, Tom, you said, well, you got to pick your poison. Is either Bind or Fracture. Now, after that Ascent, performance of just seeing PaperX bulldoze them over, I do feel like my hopes have gone down a little bit given that Fracture is the bulldoze map.
Yeah, this is the map where they literally just sprint at people at full speed. Like, Forsaken's Neon shouldn't be allowed. Like, I feel like his entry stats are always ridiculous, and he basically is just running at full speed at you. And he's almost like, in most of these rounds, you're going to see him as the first man in, as almost like the bait for Jing, but then he takes 3 players with him on the way, and Jing just cleans up the rest.
Yeah, it's really tough to deal with, I think. And for Guild as well, the comp that they've been playing, at least that they switched to, I don't necessarily think has had good success against this style of play on Fracture. And we've seen it go up against it. We've seen Optic kind of take down a number of teams with their Neon comp. It's much different than the one we're going to see from PaperX
This
right
is basically
now.
triple duelist.
It's basically triple duelist. And it's also high octane the entire time on all 4 sides of the map. So, like, for Guild, who we already saw had trouble placing their utility on specific spots to do anything against PaperX, now they have 4 sides to contend with.
But this is also
3 duelists.
I feel like this is where you realize that Benkai is actually a god. Because the man that is setting pretty much every single one of these plays up is Benkai, and he is very, very good on the breach.
Well, we're into the Prime Gaming Agent Select here. PaperX, they're 1-0 up right now going into their map pick of Fracture, and Jing has switched over to the Sage.
Oh, weird. Okay.
No raise.
Yeah, no raise on the Fracture, and I think it's just weird to pair it with the Sage here, this Neon comp. And they're going to stick with the solo Viper, too, on this map. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a fan. I would have rather seen them just stick to the double duelist because it's PaperX. So, yeah,
I will say, as a caveat, Jing Sage is a duelist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the way that he seems to just run into angles, wall himself up, and try and kill you. So I will say that this shouldn't be something that makes Guild think they're safe from the way he plays.
And I also said at the beginning that I wouldn't say anything bad about their comps. So I take it all back.
Yeah, Jing's just going to run at them now. You just watch, Barley. You just watch. Like I said, this is on the pick of PaperX as we head into Fracture, and I'm going to hand this over to your casters, Bren and Sideshow.
Thank you very much, Sue. Let's get into it. Map number 2 in this series, PaperX. And Guild, they have been looking too clean in map number 1. That's PaperX, that is. But Guild, an opportunity for them to answer back, including PaperX changing up their usual composition as well. Making some adjustments, not playing the raise anymore.
Definitely a little strange. I'm on board with Bala in the sense that I loved their previous comp, but it's Jing, and I don't want to doubt him at all. Because the stats he puts up on Sage are absurd. He gets over 150 ADR.
Tom said it, he's basically playing a duelist.
Yeah, I mean, he is playing a duelist, absolutely. He will swing you, he will fight you. The question is, how does it fit into their set plays? Because while I feel like Ascent proved to the world that PaperX are amazing at mid-rounding, Fracture is where they normally prove that their set plays are the best in the world. I think they are the top team right now for set plays. But the Sage doesn't seem to fit in as perfectly as the Raze did in the past.
No,
maybe I will be proved completely wrong.
I understand where you're coming from, though. It's a little bit slower. Can't exactly go for the double satchels, but is that ever going to stop PaperX? The answer's no. Already straight in, forcing the rendezvous out of safe just to back away. And Guild, they are not going to be in position to try and deny the plant. Have to be playing for that retake. Step 1, though, break the Sage wall.
One of the other crazy things watching PaperX is that they have very elaborate post-plant setups occasionally, and you can see Mindfreak dropping back here, I think so that he can play some of those.
Oh, the fight being taken place here right on sand. No coverage from Drop. Guild, they've got to try and swing this one with a bit of confidence, and that's what they've got in spades right now. Safe picks up the 2 players and the defuse coming online, but
here come the snake bites.
The snake bites, where's the utility? It's
there
out
it
of the defuse. Mindfreak's already killed 1. Coldamentido. That's a swing, and 2 kills down now, but the players are so low. Classic in hand. Spike still not tapped. Mindfreak, it's got all the positioning in the world, all the time in the world as well, and the swing just on top. That's going to be the round, the pistol secured.
And this is what makes PaperX, in my opinion, almost unbeatable on Fracture. Their defense side, they're going to run set plays on you and just crunch you on either side of the map where you have no space to back off. And then their attack sides, they get into the site very cleanly, normally playing the double duelist, of course, and then they've got post-plant setups that are phenomenal too. Like I said, they're winning over 80% of their post-plants in APAC, which is just bonkers. And Mindfreak there going all the way back to spawn, shooting his snake bites, already got the poison orb on the spike. This is going to be something that Guild have to figure out early.
I like the approach from Guild, I think, fighting over sand as well, not giving any space to PRX.
Yeah, I think they actually played the retake very nicely, Guild.
Yeah.
It's just when it gets down to...
all the layers added on top, the time's running down, the snake bites, yeah, it's hard to deal with that one. But now the guns, Forsaken going to be doing a bit of cleaning out onto the side. Even the spray's like, hey guys, I'm here.
And this is a very similar setup, once more. Divide this time planting. With a rendezvous that he can get out back to halls, so he's going to look to fight this a little bit more.
Angle's locked.
Oh, and look at Benkai making the wraparound silently on the rope.
Only 2 more bullets in the Headhunter. The swing, no tricks. He puts in enough damage. Does some good work, but ultimately, look like it's going to be coming up with too much. Whip out the pistol, why not? Faster than a reload. And
oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
break,
no.
come on. These guys have got so much whimsy about them.
I love this team. They're so fun to watch, and they're so happy to throw in these moments of personality in there. We saw Jing in the previous map as well. But the flank from Benkai is important to keep in mind, because even if we're talking gun round here and Guild start getting things down really close, Benkai, even if he doesn't kill the final player, has an aftershock lineup that he can go for that denies the person defusing. So they're still thinking about these post plants, and they have them for the B site as well, and it looks like potentially might see something over there early. Nope, just a bit of a fake. A flash, a stun, and a dash. And PRX are going back over to halls.
I think this is the early conditioning by PRX just to ensure that they send that utility that way. If there's a player there, they note it, and they're going to try and position for it.
3 players fighting Dish early, and now there are a lot of people stacked on A.
Guild, are they going to try and fight this one early? The fast lane does block off that line of sight, including the slow orb. No one can drop down with the Brim Molly in place. It really has just split up the entirety of Guild, and the Viper's Pit, well, it's already on. A nade dropped down. Leo just needs to get his gun out and support this one. Orbital Strike dropped on top of it. A lot of damage being just sent flying through. Russ is in a world of hurt. Falling so low, but look at that spike plant location right up top. It is chaos right now on the battlefield. Players still alive, and PRX, they've got the numbers advantage. And here tries to move around. The pit's dropped. Might be just playing outside of this one. Trades, is it going to be enough? No. Not enough at all.
And the safety net was always there of Benkai coming around back to Dish, and it stopped Safe from fighting. Safe spent most of that post plant waiting for the Dish reflank, and in the end, Benkai wins the duel anyway. Guild's strategy, like I said, in this tournament, they're playing 3/4 of their rounds. That's 9 out of 12 in the half for retake. And PRX are getting free plants, and they're going to play post plant, and they're crazy good at it. The adjustment needs to be coming through, and this is only the first layer of strategy from PRX. They haven't gone B, they haven't done anything other than a default halls push.
Same utility, by the way, just being sent flying. This time there is something a bit behind it. The PRX players are just lurking, holding, actually, that angle, waiting for a reclear, waiting for a repick.
And Guild know that this is different, because they've got 3 players pushing out halls. So Safe knows there could be someone here.
Oh, yeah, he's favoured there. Tour de force, that's an easy kill. Repositioned, though. Benkai has worked his way down. This is a fast push now, all the way into halls. 3 of the players from Guild. See if they can do any sort of damage. That nade, impeccable, actually, the way that landed. A lot of damage being done, but healed back up, I think. That was right at the footstep there of Jing.
And PRX are being diligent, clearing this area out. On Ascent, we saw a lot of reactive plays. If they got pushed, somebody else lurked into an area of the map. But that wasn't really possible. Benkai's the closest to it, and he's only now starting to take space over a Dish. Oh, the pace!
What? Instantaneous, man. The slide, the dash across, and of course he gets the reset off of it. He's just handed 2 kills. Pop off the ult, the man's feeling it. Down to that 2v2. Still the disrespect. Are you joking? Why are you holding that angle, man? You're against Safe. He's got a tour de force.
That is absurd. And Guild end up winning the round. That one went into a very unusual direction.
And we've been seeing that every now and then, you know, a bit of an overextension, I think, from Forsaken.
Yeah.
A couple of times in a sense, you know, he hands him his life, gives an opportunity for Guild to get back into it. That time, it was grasped.
This play is amazing, and the spray transfer is gorgeous. The push after that as well. But there is another player that Leo, who's in halls, and if Forsaken just wraps around and they kill Leo, they win the round. And so, yeah, you're right. The only thing that has been going wrong for PRX in this match so far is Forsaken overstepping himself occasionally.
Getting the stun and the flash, but nothing towards it over on the B side. Vi does have that ult, though.
And this is where the conditioning starts to come through. Guild offer a tiny bit of utility early on, now have 4 players over at A. And if there's any adaptation for PRX starting to make those same lurks they were going for on Ascent, those lurks are going to find big value. Because Guild are abandoning B and just leaving it to safe zone.
Shoulders touching at the wall, it seems. 2 of the players just watching this one with the orb being grabbed in the spam. They know there's a large presence in that halls. Now you see with the wall going up. Slow orb as well to try and push them across. And as the door opens up, Trex, he attempts to capitalize. Fast lane, that's a repush through Sand. Guild, they've got the players, but can they get the kills? That's the question on their minds. It is traded. 1-for-1, 3v3 now.
And a different plant spot, the third plant spot that PRX have gone for. And this time Mindfreak not putting his poison orb on top of it. Coldemender's going to look to go for this retake. Safe is still a long way away.
Awkward angle to be holding with the tour de force and teleports back. Difficult positioning, and look at this, yep. The wrap around by Safe. They know where Mindfreak is. Pressured the spam through. Guild with another one.
And Guild are starting to get the read on how to counter PRX's attack side here. They're grouping up, they're overstacking sites. 4 players looking to defend A, and they still breach ult retook halls from them too. They're having to play faster, they're having to try and get picks before the spike plant goes down instead of playing those full retake setups. And this might be the first time that PRX are forced to go on an eco. Still going for 2 Vandals, and maybe they end up forcing into this, but it doesn't look healthy to buy from PRX.
No. It's limited. Certainly limited.
Safe once more, by the way, being the key player for Guild. Locking down B, allowing his team to rotate, getting the kills on board. He's been a beast so far in this match. It just hasn't been enough. Perhaps it can be on Fracture.
He's been really making the most of it. I think some big numbers still. Devi, you are really going to re-pick that Headhunter. He's ADS'd up. The follow-up from Forsaken is just a tad too late, and still the angle was held by Guild. Safe, this reposition right now. Could
It's so
be caught
dangerous.
unaware. There's a player already by his side. Ships in the night, but he backs away. Teleport to safety. Doesn't get punished for it.
Perfect timing, just as Mindfreak dropped the poison orb. And now a 2v4.
And PRX have been defaulting to this when they're at this player disadvantage. We saw it on Ascent a lot. It's the contact plays, just trying to see if they're given any angles. A wider swing from Mindfreak. Good damage being done. Benkai gets himself onto the side though.
Benkai has already won 2 1v4s this stage. It would be an insane time to pull off another.
Doesn't look too likely though. Still with the players. Stun has to be avoided. Aftershock as well, and he's full blind. Swings to avoid a lot of the bullets and the fire that was going his way, but that's going to be an easy defuse.
And Guild staying in control. An element of their defensive setup that we didn't discuss that round was a Sage Wall that Russ just plopped down at the top of B main. And I think those walls should be able to get really good value against the way that PRX plays if PRX slow the tempo down. Popping a Sage Wall and just knowing that a quarter of the map is locked off and you don't have to worry about PRX's players lurking through there is peace of mind for Guild. Something that they never had on Ascent.
I think it speaks mountains, honestly, doesn't it? I think Guild have been able to come back into this map and keep it even after the absolute battering that they got on Ascent on their map pick.
Absolutely. And they've been a team that's been extremely strong mentally so far in this tournament. Guild have had 3 out of 6 of the maps played so far go to overtime.
Yeah.
And out of those 3, Guild have won 2 of them. They have been, of course, everybody apart from Coldamenta is pretty inexperienced on the big stage. And yet, they've looked like veterans. They've come out, they've played their best ever Valorant. They're calm. They're winning the clutch moments. They've been great in OT. They need to draw on that deep mental reserve that they've showcased to keep themselves in this. On what most people would say is PRX's best map.
they've been approaching it with the right direction. Safe has been an absolute lifeline.
And Leo is warming up too. Not a great first map, uncharacteristically, but now over onto the breach, 6 and 3, finding spots where he's been great at anchoring down areas of the map, like halls, for example.
I'm out of here.
Loving
This is
the
the
amount,
first dish push.
This is a different look for them. A flash and a stun. Once more, it's usually the beginning of most of these fast takes of all this space.
And Safe was posted up, actually, with his operator looking towards Dish. Got flashed, had to leave.
In their spawn, the Rolling Thunder cuts across. That's a stun being placed. Forsaken. Oh, he's already in there. Straight away, picks up the operator. You cannot be taking that angle. Dodging, juking. Nade's going to be pushing him back. 34 health. Holds down Mouse One, but not enough to claim the kill. The spike, though, already planted. In fact, the Resurrect was available in the back pocket of Russ. He's going to be returning Safe back into the action. This could get dangerous now for PRX. And it's a fast play. Look at that double satchel right into the headshot. Trex and Leo to combine it all together.
What a wonderful retake from Guild. That's the Guild that we've been
Magical.
seeing so far in the tournament. The fast retake, the ults were perfect, the coordination, immaculate, and PRX got completely overwhelmed. Love that round from them. Beautiful.
Really do. And, I mean, Guild have been forced to play at that increased tempo. To match PRX, to deny them space, don't let them get too easily these post plants. And look at that. I love how aggressively and rapidly they're able to make the decision to fight over Hall's control here.
The movement as well with the blast packs was fantastic there from Trex.
I'm not going to lie. Dude, Baba looks like he is aging in real time. But, I mean, to get back onto the previous point, is one of the things that I think Trex does better than anybody else on the Rays currently. He's put so much time and work, I think, into a lot of his satchel movement that it is an extra element, is a thing that gives him an edge.
Similar look to this round as well. And PRX find the opening kill. In fact, both Leo and Coldamenta dropping at halls just opens up B.
And Trex, he's forced to do the impossible, trying to anchor the onslaught that was coming his way.
Whoopsie, Forsaken missed the spike.
He's picked the back up, though. It's going to be Plant in the previous position that they were laying down. Obviously, Mind Freak's still alive, 2 snake bites in his hand. How do you deal with this?
The fast retake is a great idea, but not an option that's available to them. And look at Benkai sprinting around.
Safe was aware he was taking the fight to him, but...
I mean, I think he was actually leaving to save the operator.
Right.
I don't think he was aware that Benkai was going on the flank there. But Benkai was playing up a Dish and decided, hey, I'll mix it up. This round I'll go for the long lurk flank through spawn. And I think the way that PRX are playing their post plants with, you know, Benkai over a Dish and Mind Freak going for the poison orb and snake bites, you want to be fast. You want to be really quick on the retakes.
Look at that.
But you can't do anything if 2 of your players just die in halls immediately. That's not even the point of this round for PRX. They're trying to just take a slow skirmish at halls and have a fast reactive push from Dish, but they just won the fight. Oh, wow. Oh,
he's walled off away. I think that's miscoordination, obviously, because the teleport was in place. We could get out of there, but finally, we see that tempo. Auto utility just being dumped into the back of the site. Forsaken already deep within tower. He spotted it, but he just can't quite find the head still. Pinged out, it's going to be Russ spammed through all of it, but the team just can't quite get through the choke point. That's what the Viper's pit's for. Tried to give him a bit of covering fire, but, I mean, the overdrive, it's not the best weapon for the job, is it? It can't quite go through the walls, but it does enough. Spam from Leo has the Rolling Thunder, waits for it. Now we can hear the plant.
Spike planted.
The random spam, though, not enough to claim a kill.
Coldamenta needs this pick.
And he's being so cautious of it. Diligent with the peeking up and down on the rope. He knows it's going to be held by a player. And how are you favored in this one? The timing, the stun, and the positioning.
It's beautiful.
It is good.
Well coordinated between Leo and Coldamenta. They get the punish.
I'm worried about time, though, Josh.
Leo still has Rolling Thunder here.
I'm
If he
really
knows
worried
both
about
players
time.
are over a tree.
I'm really worried about time because now you're going to start to see the snake bites, I think, coming through. Mindfreak's already laid it down, and with the orb buff as well, it's just being bled off the clock once more.
Yeah. Coldamenta's going to try and stick, but there's just no hope here.
There's nothing more heartbreaking as well than losing rounds in that fashion. You come into it with good ideas, but if you're just not taking them rapidly enough, if you're not coming at them with that pace to try and disrupt that post plan in the first place, the lineup Larry reigns supreme.
Yeah, it really does. Mind Freak's just applying a ton of time pressure in the post plan. And you talk about good ideas not working. The beginning of that round, Russ deliberately walls off safe to make it look like there can't be an operator player there. And yet PaperX are still throwing stuns out, flashes out, making sure that nobody could possibly be contesting them. They're not baited by the Sage Wall going down in the slightest. That was a really cool idea from Guild that got nothing.
Round 2. Seems
Same
like the
utility
same play,
again.
doesn't it? Yep, fast lane over the top. There's no wall to try and block them. Not this time. Trademark as well, that slow field is going to be causing a bit of mischief, I think. Honestly, an opportunity for Guild to come back into this one, especially with that pickup onto Forsaken with the res in play. Now the rolling thunder exchanged on both sides. They want to deny the plant going down in the first place. The Guild players have started to swarm this one now. They do have good positioning, but can they win out the fight? That's the question.
Spike goes down.
Players
Guild
there.
is setting up for the retake. They're in already, using the blast packs to take space.
Pushing forwards though, and now you can start to see it, pressure being applied. Half on the defuse already. Trex, you should be able to get this one, surely? Yeah.
The aftershock misses.
The aftershock misses. Not enough time being bought for the snake bite, and all the players cleaned up for PaperX.
And of course, if you're going to put all of your eggs in the post-plant utility basket, you've got to be able to hit them. Benkai just with a slight miss on that one. And had the aftershock found its mark, the snake bites would have been coming through afterwards as well. But for Guild, it's the fast retake. Watch how quickly they take all of this space. They've got a double blast pack in from Trex, safe supporting with the operator, and the rest of the teammates pushing in behind the space that Trex manages to gather for them. The fast retake is working for Guild.
Blow for blow, round for round, so even in this half. Again, the same play by PaperX, 3 rounds in a row. It's all going behind it, and the spam through the wall, these adaptations. Gordomenta, 2 rounds in a row, he's been able to find value. He's been rewarded with a kill just for essentially unloading the Phantom.
And it's Jing taken down. The spike is not committed, however, and this might be the first time that Mindfreak goes for one of these classic lurks that we were seeing on Ascent. Devi very marginally avoids getting punished, and Forsaken is now left in a very odd spot. Going to be dueling Russ, normally good for them.
Yeah, looking up, and he's got a crosshair placement. Once more, the precision is there. Bit of a noise bait.
It's
Trying to
drawing
fake something.
It's drawing a couple of players back towards B, but the spike was heading A.
It's because
now,
the trademark was destroyed in halls.
yeah, Benkai and Mindfreak have to make a decision. Do you commit or do you go back to B? And Forsaken is letting the team know, there's no one here, guys. Just come back. Stick to B. We're going to get the plant down.
Devi as well, pushed all the way deep.
And look how far away Coldamenta is. He's the one with the brimstone roll. He's the one that can deny this plant. And I think he's too far away.
Might just be in range, surely, with the nade. The stun to try and follow it up. Forsaken, he's already deep. Does get taken out. The orbital strike. Get chunked down. Benkai's left down to 12 HP, but he does have that aftershock once more. Needs to not miss this lineup this time around, though. Important for them. Just up to Leo and safe, retaking with the operator, never ideal. And look at the positioning as well. It's already being wrapped around by Devi. He's got this crossfire. You can hear them coming out, and that's going to be the mark found. Safe falling down to Leo. This guy, he's been good for it in the past, but not quite this time around.
A beautifully played round from PaperX that was much more reminiscent of their mid-rounding from Ascent. But Guild have been able to keep up with them throughout this half, and I think deserve enormous props for that. Look for a moment at where Jing is on the scoreboard. 3 and 11, got taken out as the first kill. And listen, this isn't a bad half from PaperX, but he's not having that same impact that I was expecting from him on this map. And I think part of it is because he's not playing the Raze. He's not able to get double blast pack initiations. He's just kind of plodding into the site, not able to get big value on this attack half. On the defense side, he'll be looking to get value out of the Sage, but hasn't had it so far. And that's been part of the reason why Guild are up to 5. No Jing.
Hasn't really been an element in this match, in this map, I should say.
What
Fast
a
lane over the top. That
what
actually
a
goes.
fast lane.
Yeah, it goes over the top. You have to stand on the boxes to do it.
It's an interesting one as well, because that's covering the trademark and making Surf think potentially someone could have been up there.
Well, that's a lot of noise being made into halls. Trex tries to take the angle, and his teammate once more, Leo. Both of them, this duo, they just mow them down. Players being found, dropped down. It's all up to Forsaken. Now, he does have the spike, but there's only so much he can do, especially when you're slow peeking those corners. 6-6 being a half. An immense amount of respect, I think, for Guild to be able to answer back after that first map.
Yeah, I think they've done an incredible job in the half to get themselves into this position, and it's safe again. 13 and 8, putting on the performances. and keeping his team in it. It doesn't get any easier once PaperX go onto their defense side. They are very aggressive, and they will put pressure on Guild. But Guild themselves have got into a great position here to try and recover the series.
I think they've proven that they can stand up to it. We're going to go to to the analyst desk. I was about to say a short break. Not quite yet. The action's still waiting on the other side of it, though. Analyst desk, break it down for us. What have you got?
I don't want to break. I want 4 overtimes on this map. As many overtimes as humanly possible. But guys, what a great recovery from Guild after the first map and also after the first 3 rounds of this map. I was feeling like, oh, it's not looking good.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. It felt like PaperX started trolling at the beginning, to be honest. We started with a Benkai knife in round 2. So, yeah, for them to bring it back after that, it works really well because I think the ults that they started to get online, the amount of times that Trex is finding impact, really did bring them back in the game.
Yeah, I think some of the adaptations, especially when it comes to the A side, with like how they were retaking rather than really battling for it in a lot of the early rounds. I still don't think their B site hold was particularly good. I think they got caught out quite a lot by just how aggressive Forsaken was actually able to be, and some of the space he was taking in some of those rounds was still absurd. But yeah, this is an example of one of the retakes and some of the impact we saw from Trex.
It's not consistent though, right? You're not being able to get this over and over and over because they're pulling him like Ascent all over the map. It's just, I think the Ascent map gave them a little breather, a little lean into the ability and possibility that this stuff is about to happen. So we need to see a little bit more consistent. Now we're moving to the attack side, and this is where we really saw Guild struggle on Ascent.
Also, Jing too, if we want to talk about consistency, because obviously he's playing a different agent, and Saito and Brent touched on it, but Tom, a significant drop-off in terms of kills for him in this one.
Yeah, I do think this might be more so to do with their defensive side, like potentially going to try and lock off one side of the map while they aggress on the other. It's more of a, I guess, common way of doing it around that Sage, but it does remove the aspect of him almost being, I don't want to say the sidekick because he's never a sidekick, but the sidekick to Forsaken, because Forsaken will still be having to make those plays, otherwise you really do lose the value of having a Neon on the defense. So I'll be interested to see how they run it, but ultimately, I actually think that Guild have a good opportunity on this attack. I think Trex is fantastic, and I think they have all the utility to set him up.
I mean, this is the best scoreline they possibly could have gotten after that start, but you said it at the beginning of this. I think Fracture is the most terrifying map to play against the defensive side of PaperX.
Well, it's 6-6 at the half. Definitely wasn't the same story from the first map, but let's see if Guild can actually take this all the way and get the job done. Back to you, Saisho and Brent.
Thank you very much, Sue. Yeah, I certainly hope so. Honestly, a map 3 in this series would be a treat, I think, for our first game of the playoffs. And Guild have shown great resilience being able to make this one even.
PaperX, though, aren't usually better on their defense side. Now, having said that, they usually play Jing on Raze, and they're going to push you from all over. And if you just look at the minimap and how Fracture is set up, when you start on the attack side, you barely have any space. You're so cramped. There's no corners to hide behind or cover. So if you get pushed, it is really difficult. This time, though, PaperX are playing a bit more of a conservative composition, and that's where I've got questions. Are they going to play conservative?
Squeezing.
And they're starting with a safe squeeze. What? He gets the doesn't get out.
No way! Right underneath the ropes. That's such a tiny angle, but still he will fall. Safe goes down, but the 4 players of Guild, they've got to just try and push their way through. Stunned up though. The trademark, the slow field, it's all activated. Trex, he does well. He does return back with a couple of more kills, and it's a quick re-push right into Arcade.
No!
The knife is out!
You've got to be kidding me!
Out!
Jing and Russ both run out of bullets, and Jing adapts faster and pulls out the knife for a quick shank.
What is this? The Sage on Sage warfare, just fighting in the streets.
Jail Valorant.
It is brutal out here. It is brutal.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, for starters,
that.
the pace to be able to punish safe, I love. But then what's so dangerous about PaperX on the defense side is you try and reactively go and take B main, and they get slowed by a trademark.
Stunned.
And Forsaken is already running back to stun them. For the problem with PaperX and playing against them is that they know what your reaction is going to be, and they anticipate it. They know you're going to reactively take B from them, so they go back and deal with it.
Stun over the top. A bit of Guardian spam. That's going to be 2 kills rewarded, though. Little fight took place in Halls on top of it, so despite the fact that this is a thrifty round for Guild, still looking more than dangerous.
Yeah, extremely doable, and this is Guild playing at their tempo, slowing things down now that they have the player advantage.
They would love to open this up with a quick shot, one head being found. Almost certainly turn this round properly in their favor. Still the disrespect being shown though. Damage being done. Divide just waits it out.
Here's the pick on the other side though. Coldamenta potentially getting gifted one from Mindfreak. And Mindfreak checks the wrong position. And this is where Guild are going to get rewarded because PaperX will push. And if Guild can find the timings to slow things down, they might get given picks like that.
Stun across, that's just off of the instinctual timing with the smoke being dropped. It's already pushed right through it. Benkai not wasting any time, and Trex, that bulldog that was gifted to them earlier, comes in handy indeed. A thrifty round for Guild to get themselves even once more.
And there's a knockout blow in one direction and a response instantly from Guild. They've been doing a great job in this map of controlling PaperX. That opener from Safe is awesome. And they trade 2 for 1, trying to control the aggression towards Tree.
Fuck me, man, Aaron! Why do you do that?
Yeah, man, yes!
You can see the difference in the reactions of both of the coaches there. Alex for PaperX and Barbar for Guild, and how much it means to both of these teams. What a thrifty to win.
Forsaken, no. Oh, once more the pace, the tempo. It's turned up a tad, but Leo more than ready to absorb all the aggression coming his way with the rifle. Still,
this is the problem.
It's turning into the 3v3, and Divide, well, of course, more than likely to re-swing and refight this one. Quite favored for it, is he though? Still, made it dangerous.
Very dangerous. Guild choosing to try and defend the spawn location, defend bridge against a crunch. And even with no weapons in the hands of PaperX, even with only pistols, you could see how awkward that got for the Guild players. They don't have enough cover to hide behind. They're trying to take a fight on 2 fronts, and they're getting pinched from both sides. They managed to fend off a crunch that time and take the lead 8-7. But can they do it once PaperX have got the Vandals?
Not only that, Device sitting with the operator.
Go, go, go!
And this one looks a little weird because Device is going to be playing with Forsaken. I love this smoke. To allow Guild to take a little bit of space.
Oh, Device trying to get set up onto the angle there. What? What?
Down A.
Absolutely illegal movements that I'm just witnessing. What in the Lord's name was that?
On the other side of the map, Jing walls off Arcade, trying to get value out of this Sage. And Safe's movement through tunnel is going to end up getting stumped. Benkai hears them coming, but he's the only defender of B.
Benkai into the stun, into the flash. The utility is being dumped into that choke point. Doesn't want any of the Guild players to get a foothold.
But he never has to worry about his back here. He never has to worry about getting pinched because Jing's wall has stayed up. And now you're starting to see the value of the wall on defense. However, now it's broken. PaperX with a 4v3, but Guild are all over the map.
This could get dangerous quite quickly, but it depends on this fight that's taking place at Arcade. The angle, and it's spotted out. Leo is good for it.
What a pick from Leo.
Nice.
An enormous impact kill.
Up on drop, though, as soon as his trademark is broken, could spell
30 seconds left.
a tricky scenario with the time running so low. Devi is posted up into halls currently. Trademark's broken. Is he going to be able to return and turn around here? The orb goes up to try and at least deny a bit of space, but shots being missed. Devi doesn't anticipate it. Aggression by Safe, and he's taken so much off them.
Amazing play by Safe. Great work reacting to where Devi was going to rendezvous. And with that plant, Leo has got the Rolling Thunder. I don't think it should be necessary. But you can tell Guild are thinking about all of the ways they can use to punish.
With the swing is just a little bit too late.
This crossfire should be impossible to break.
It is.
But Benkai has a flash.
Surely. Gets dangerous, but it's secured.
It is a really dangerous round, but another good one from Guild. They're finding their footing in the series, getting the read of how PaperX want to play. And I mean, that shot, I don't know how he's hit it. That's a flu game kind of buff in terms of that flick. But he did get punished immediately afterwards, and that's Guild. You can pop off against them, but they're mostly going to trade you out. And the real pick that wins the round, in my opinion, is Leo finding the kill on Jing at Arcade. And Jing, again, struggling to find too much of that usual value that you get from him, which is he's a heavy fragger.
Yeah.
Currently sat with only 4 kills.
Not having the same impact compared to what we're used to. A timeout called. Game plan has to be cooked up. Adaptations need to be made. Alex is just going to be popping off.
Yeah,
You could feel the frustration earlier as well when we were showing the coaches side by side.
definitely. And both of these coaches are very vocal too. You'll see sometimes, you know, the coaches will be sat back, allowing the IGL to take their moment and discuss what they think the adaptation should be, offer some input. But I mean, Barbar's been spitting in all of these timeouts.
Yes.
And seems like Alex is no different. Just providing a little bit of input, turning the ship slightly and hopefully in a better direction.
Guild have got the confidence. They've been edging out these rounds. Coming down sometimes to just 1 or 2 players alive, but enough to hold a lead.
And PRX are going to be starting on an eco round here. Previously on their eco, they crunched towards bridge. There are 4 players for Guild defending that bridge area.
With the Tour de Force and the overdrive available, it could still be a dangerous round for Guild. They do need to be cautious of this, and you can feel it as well. They heard the Tour de Force popped off. Trex is just making sure that he jump peaks these angles. In fact, everybody, they don't want to get caught unaware just in case he could be hiding.
Nobody paying too much attention, though, to Dish. And I think for PRX, this is just expecting Guild to play slowly.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about Dish because Guild are not a fast-paced team that are going to, you know, take the risk and jump somebody into the site on their anti-eco. So PRX playing a little more riskily on their eco round. Focused on halls, looking to try and play off the back of Mindfreak's contact.
Players over towards the B side, yeah. PRX, I think now looks like they're trying to take that gamble stack over towards A.
And it does look like it's going to be the right read.
There was an attempt there. You can see the smoke was popped off earlier into Arcade. Benkaido is holding this. What is going to be it? Well, the contact. That's what they were waiting for. Rolling Thunder, that connects onto them. And now the overdrive. Stuns it to stuns, but the kill's being found. 2 drop down. Guild going to be donating those weapons if the other one can be received.
What a trap play. That was amazing. But now they're going back into Defy's Tour de Force, and it doesn't get easier. Forsaken's still
here. He's already here, man. He's already here. Oh my goodness, 14 seconds left. The slow orb dropped down. The response is instantaneous. The kills are flooding through. Save is able to find some significant value. Oh, Forsaken just beaming him down, man. And the thrifty win once more. Back and forth, back and forth. And I said it at the beginning of this round, Josh, it's not an easy one for Guild when they're up against that many ultimates.
It's heartbreak for both of these teams. For PRX, they're expecting to win round 14 and start a bit of a run. And for Guild, of course, they're expecting to win that anti-eco. What an awesome trap play and a huge round from Forsaken. But he's set up so perfectly by the rest of his squad. And the hard read from Alex and from Benkai, knowing that Guild were going to be going towards halls. You hear that there in the comms from Guild. All good. It's fine. Reset. Go next. You need that mentality.
Certainly do. State of the game could change at any given moment.
But it has crushed Guild's buy. Same, of course, with the Tour de Force, but it's the same kind of trap play, this time with Jing just swinging with a fault line off the back of somebody punishing his wall.
Yeah.
So he puts the wall up. If somebody breaks the wall, he's going to swing through it. That's some way of getting aggressive on Sage.
Pinged off. Oh, they know a player right back behind it. Slow up on the aftershock. It's pretty significant pieces of utility that are going to be used to try and expend it. But of course, just chamber things. Backs away. Rendezvous. Back to safety.
Forsaken is anchoring B right now. And Guild have a lot of utility with which to flush out tower. They have the nade. They've got fault line. Trex, if he wants to, can try and double blast back in with a showstopper. I wonder if Forsaken can slip his way out of this one if it does end up being a B split.
Forsaken seems worried.
As soon as the fault line comes in, though, he runs back into tower to try and punish whoever would be scaling.
It's, oh, that is Leo's fault line finally being used, but now, yeah, line of sight angle, watch down, players onto the site, but the crossfire. Oh, it's there. 4 players alive. Leo, not much you can do in that scenario. And it was, yeah, it was Benkai using his fault line so they could re-clear tower with Forsaken sprinting in.
Yeah, I thought that was Leo's, actually. I thought he was trying to punish Leo stunning it. But you're right, both of the breaches using the same fault line to try and maintain control over tower. And even though Forsaken falls, the rest of his team is just supporting him so well. Here's that play from Jing. Nice idea. And one of the few times that you've seen something unique out of Jing's Sage, and finds him a pick. That is also going to put a bit of fear in the back of Guild's head. And now the reactions seem much more genuine from the PaperX headquarters. Now that they're actually having a close game.
Yeah, being truly tested. It's an evacuation across the ropes.
Do
They
they
wants nothing to do with it. This is an instant fast response. Look at how quickly they're moving into arcade.
And do they predict the reaction here? Yes, Benkai throwing down the stun, wondering if they could even be further along than they are.
Yep, now with a double satchel play into the showstopper right on top of the steps. Trex is good for it. Now the orbital strike. Benkai, oh, he's gifted with one. Cool, calm, and collected just the one, though, before he eventually will fall to the ultimate. Side control gain. They have to try and deal with Jing, though, and he was into that corner, isolated, back against the wall.
Very nice play from Russ and Safe, putting pressure on him from two different directions, but Mindfreak finds a pick. That's just off the back of the vulnerable.
Yeah, able to get it, only a couple of bullets that were needed, but the post-plant position of Guild right now, it is quite good. Cold Dementor does have a Brim Molly. Let's see if he has a lineup for it. It could buy him even more time, but the crossfire setup from main and back arcade, yeah, right up into the sky. Time pressure being put on here. Mindfreak might be in a bit of trouble. Stun force through. There's that molly and the spam because they can just hear the taps coming down, and a great round by Guild. Pulling out the ultimates, making sure that they had complete control over that one.
Very well played. And I think their Guild's reaction to instantly take arcade control and go into B was nice. But you're seeing PaperX actually being slower than I would expect to adjust their positioning. They didn't go and fight arcade early on. Benkai honestly was caught out in tower and lucky to even get a kill in that situation. And Jing just stayed at tree, kind of tucked into a weird position, a little less mobile than when he plays the Rays. PaperX don't look like the same level of reactive, fast-paced, crazy set play team that they usually do when they're on Fracture. And Guild are punishing them for it. It really is classic Guild. They don't need to set up their own win conditions, they just need to break their opponents.
They're finding that PaperX are a bit tougher than the usual opponents, I think, in terms of cracking their overall game plan, but they are finding that edge. Leading by the 1 round, they've got the guns in their hands on either side. Just trying to see if they can get away with taking some space. Forsaken, he actually bounds that stun off the top of the wall, actually onto the ceiling. Lands, and he's posted himself back up onto the angle.
This is madness.
Are they going to come this? Stun into the corner! Oh my goodness, the wall goes down. Forsaken maybe thought that he could have got away with it at a slide-off angle, but Safety opens up the door at the wrong time there. His own teammates flash just connecting right into his face. Up to Mindfreak to see if he can lock this one off to the side. The aftershock pushes him back. Slow going, especially with the orb. Double satchel in. Are they ready for it? The teleport! Engage! Oh, back to safety. Cold Dementor needs to try and capitalize. Swings back through now into sand. Two-pronged attack right through halls as well. Ready and waiting in the spawn. That's a bit of a whiffage from Divide. A flick of the wrist right through the wall. Cold Dementor, he claims his prize.
Ice cold from Cold Dementor, but how was he allowed to get away with that? Cold Dementor taking a fight against Divine and it looked whiffy, but he still comes up with the goods. Guild somehow making that one work off the back of Cold Dementor's flank. The shot onto Benkai is nice, but this one, I was convinced that Divine was going to be able to get away with that. What a huge round for Guild to recover. And off the beginning of it too, Leo timing his fault line for when the Viper wall dropped. Guild are really getting the read for how PaperX want to play. They're learning as the game goes on.
Fast engage once more. Trademark is out in the open. I wonder if that's intentional by Trex. He actually triggered it. His team can get through the choke point. They're not going to be stuffed up. Rolling Thunder as well. That's going to be used to disrupt that as soon as the plant noise down. And PaperX, they want to play off the back of it. Damage. Oh, it's more than done. Locked back, the spike is dropped. Has to be a quick response from Guild, but it's not enough, man. What is that?
That's a fast retake. We've seen a few of them in this game so far. Both of the teams sometimes enjoy throwing him in there. And that one was quick.
Just a whiplash you're getting off these rounds. Sometimes it just opens up, and it's over in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's off the back of the Breach ultimate. You've got Benkai anchoring tower, and as soon as the B hit comes through, he throws it out. It buys time for Forsaken, for Divide to run through the smoke. And they both hit their shots. Guild, despite winning 2 rounds in a row, after 1 loss, they are straight back onto an eco.
shows how close these rounds have been. Not many chances to carry the weaponry forwards, even when they're winning these rounds. The economy is just taking a beating over and over again.
And a reminder that for Guild, the only map they've won convincingly so far at this tournament was Fracture. They won 13-6. Every other map has been, you know, 2 rounds in it, super close. And they're getting pushed to the limit, but they're doing a great job of recovering after a rough map 1. It looks destined for OT.
It really does.
It's been so back and forth.
There's been no breaks in it.
And this is the first breather that we've really had. Trex looking to take a fight here with his Sheriff, perhaps onto Benkai. Trex hasn't really gone for any kind of reactive dish pushes so far. And PRX have almost forgotten about that area of the map. They're not too threatened by it. Maybe Guild can punish them for that lax nature.
All the space being gained, though. Jing has pushed deep, breaks up that trademark, and now they got to know where some of the positioning is, especially with Forsaken clearing halls. The top of the map, that's the direction that PRX are going to have their eyes on. Especially drop. That's been compromised for quite some time now.
Unfortunately, Forsaken has pushed all the way out, and he is going to have halls control. These 5 players flooding out through drop.
Oh, the reactive Viper wall to try and disrupt it. Still, Trex is already there.
10 seconds.
Satchel across. Where is the spike? How do they get onto this one? The crossfire. Oh, it's found. Boombot will at least guide Trex towards one of the targets, but they don't have enough time.
No plan, no time. Nice idea from Guild, and certainly found some level of an opportunity, throwing a new strat, a different idea into the round. But just not quite enough with the weaponry they had at the time available. The clock has been a large enemy for Guild. Their game against Crew, they lost multiple rounds in that kind of same way.
They did.
And it feels like PRX are starting to take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit and just ask the question of Guild, can Guild win these rounds on their own? If we stop making pushes and giving them opportunities, can Guild just pull off a big execute into us?
It's the Guild playstyle when they like to play slow, absorb the aggression, see if they can force mistakes out of their enemies.
Forsaken has just popped the overdrive instantly.
Oh, he's so deep. But this crossfire, the dash, the slide! Mindfreak's there to follow up, but that's classic Guild for you. The trade is instantaneous, and the Resurrect in play means that they're right back to full health. 5 players now swarming onto the A site, and not a PRX defender in sight to try and disrupt it.
I'm so confused by that from Forsaken and Mindfreak, though. There wasn't information on the rest of the map. For all Forsaken knows, he might be running into all 5 players there. I suppose he knows Russ isn't there because there was a wall up towards Arcade, but that seemed over-aggressive to me after the slower and more retakey rounds have been working. A 3v5 retake, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to pull this one off. Guild in a great position to get up to map point.
Well, he's been pushed into this one, but the positioning is not good for PRX. That Rolling Thunder, oh, it collides into multiple targets. Safe will fall, but time is a bit of an enemy right now for PRX. The longer they take trying to take this space and break their way into halls, the less they're going to have to work with. Still, the molly, it disrupts it, it cuts it across. No players can work their way through into the site, and a call is made. Disciplined at the end of the day. PRX is going to be backing away and keeping these rifles.
To some degree, a bit of a win in terms of the pressure they applied on the retake attempt. Jing, with a Resurrect, allows them to keep their economy really strong, although there is only 1 more round left. And they did force out a breach ult from Leo. Maybe that's a win in their books, but Guild will be feeling very happy.
1 more round to deny that OT. Take this map, bring it to the 3rd and final map.
Half of Guild's maps so far in Copenhagen have gone to overtime. Can they stop this one going the same way?
To be fair, Josh, typically favoured when it gets to OT.
That's true.
Winning most of them. Freak going to be dropping down this Viper's pit, so that's going to be denying some space over towards Arcade. Minute 30 on the clock, and this contact push. 3 players ready and waiting for PRX. They break up this trademark early on.
And Guild started the round with 4 players over at Bridge, anticipating some kind of crunch there, and slowly working their way up towards Dish. So far in this round, it's just an exchange of trademarks, an informational war.
Yeah, making sure that they threaten that they could be taking that space. But this Viper's pit is such a nuisance for them to deal with.
Guild have to remember about time management. There's 50 seconds left right now, and they're starting to move their way towards A. But this is also coinciding with Divine and Forsaken pushing out of halls. If they catch Safe, this would be devastating.
It's looking a bit worrying maybe for Guild, but Safe, he's going to fall.
And
Drops
now
down, stunned into the corner.
they get back in time to help Jing.
It's an instant pivot though. They're going to start to move into their own spawn. They're not even going to be going towards the A site.
What a call, what an audible from Coldamenta.
How does he manage this one? Let's see if they can even manage to get this spike down to try and close it out. Benkai, operator in his hand. He's not the usual weapon for the job, and he's removed instantaneously now. Spike starting to get planted. Russ got enough time to spare, nothing to disrupt it, but they've lost tower control. Mindfreak still up here. He needs the help of the rest of his team. All three members of them just colliding their way now right through the choke point.
They've flipped the map completely. Mindfreak still has his wall to cut these players off.
Oh my goodness.
And the Sages go 1 for 1.
The return of fire, they get it, but still the Brim Molly, it disrupts them still. Fault line being held by Leo off the tap. Gonna be using it at the choke point just to try and stop them from getting through, but now Jing is gonna start to stick this one, pushing forward, trying to hold it. They need to spam it, they need to get through this, and they can't do it. It's not enough. It's held at the end of the day. Jing, he brings it to OT for his team.
It's just had to be this way. Another one of Guild's maps goes to overtime. Barbar's gonna need to go and see a doctor.
Yeah,
I mean,
he has been animated.
he needs some cardiac treatment after all of these. But Guild have won 2 out of 3 of their OT maps so far. That time, though, in the final round, I really like the audible that Coldamenta called to run towards B, but they got punished for playing everybody off-site on the post plan. Mindfreak had not yet invested his Viper Wall, and as soon as that goes down, there's nobody who can contest and get information on whether or not Jing is sticking. As we head into the first round of OT, both chambers are picking up the glass cannon operator. And for PaperX, that means Device doing it on the attack side.
A fight early on, looking like they want to try and face each other maybe into halls, and big dump of utility right over towards the B side. Usually there's a threat behind it, and Forsaken, well, he's going to be trying to follow up. The spam tries to predict where it might be, and while all this was going on, you got to be kidding. Flicks to the side. Should never be favored there. Russ is gone.
It's a suicide fake from PaperX, and yet they still find a pick out of Forsaken. It was all designed to bait the push in halls, and they did. They baked it safe, they punished him, and now they have the plant.
They haven't actually afforded themselves to give up any positioning of this one. Jing, he plays up onto drop as well. He walled himself up now, so they've got this good crossfire in a setup, and Mindfreak, he's just late lurking. This is what Benko was doing early on all the time.
And Mindfreak, he has the post-plant positions from there. Guild get outplayed in the first round of OT.
Rings around.
An awesome idea to go for the fake. Forsaken selling it beautifully and coming out with a kill on top is just more than you can ask the guy to do. He's playing from his room with COVID.
Yeah. For a reminder, that is his current situation.
And he's hitting flicks like that.
Not optimal in terms of the situation that he's living through right now. He's not there with the rest of his team up on the stage, but yeah, Josh, I mean, 25 and 23. Highest deaths on his team, but he's putting up the goods time and time again, and PaperX not wasting any time. In fact, Jing is even committing his own wall. It blocks off his team from being able to follow up right behind him. Just trying to take it, but still they're just squeezing halls.
It's impossible for Safe, and Benkai is still here to stop the reactive push.
Face in tunnel, surely. No, the players now swarming, but they're not ready for him up in tower. Benkai, he takes out Trex. It is going to get traded.
But look at the pathing here, under through tunnel. Coldamenta with a great pick. That might be what Guild need, but they will not expect these players at Arcade so fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's an instantaneous adaptation. On either side, they're going to try and double swing it. They do find themselves advantage, but they don't expect Forsaken the late play, and now it's down to the 1v1. This is going to be closed out. PaperX is going to be taking this series. Divine with the operator. Russ, so much pressure on him. He swings through, and he just cannot come up with it. Divine wins it out. And at the end of this defuse, that is going to be the series. Under the belt of PaperX, they make their way for the first time in Masters into this upper bracket. Normally they're the team that goes out in groups or goes out into that lower bracket. This time, they are making significant strides.
And it was a hard-fought victory on Fracture, it really was, and full credit to Guild for waking up. But PaperX looked like a different beast. This is the team that went 4th place in Masters Reykjavik, and to me, they look better this time around. And I think part of that, Brent, is that they've made their way through the upper bracket this time. They had to get down into the lowers and scrap and fight and go on a run. And this time, they're not the underdogs. They could reasonably be described as the favorites, and they still gave us all of this flair. You still got the classic knife kills. 3 of them in the game, from what I can remember.
Such
2
an
from...
exciting team.
Yeah. And then Jing just dropping it down on Ascent as well.
I mean,
getting low with it.
This more knife kills being played. I think respect to Guild for their ability to be able to come back from Ascent. It was such a one-sided affair. It made it so close. Easily winnable fracture for them to battle back. But now they're going to have to do the exact same approach, battling back in the lower bracket as they are knocked down in our playoffs. Force can feel the energy.
And the battle between the fast-paced team and the controlled team goes the way of PaperX this time around. And how are people going to stop them? That's the question, because PaperX are not going to adjust their style too much. And Guild are one of the teams with the most discipline in the tournament.
Absolutely.
One of the slowest paced teams that we have. And that was one of the problems with PaperX previously at Iceland. They ran into DRX, who like to play slow and disciplined. Ran into Zeta, who like to play the same way. But this time, the bull gored the Matador. They ran him down in the streets on Ascent. And even though it was a closer battle, eventually the wild animal wins and PaperX come out on top, leaving a space there for Forsaken as well. I love to see it.
I love it. Yeah, we can fix that in post. We'll get him in there. Nice little full shot picture. What a series we have just witnessed here. I mean, honestly, an amazing one to kick things off for our opening match of the playoffs of Copenhagen. Yeah, just beautiful stuff from PaperX.
Things are only going to get more crazy from here as well.
I hope so.
The playoffs are going to have unexpected results, crazy runs, and extra teams like PaperX that we haven't got a chance to see yet.
Yeah,
it's
going to be so many teams we don't know that much about. I mean, we haven't seen them play in a while, but that's what the playoffs is about. You know, it's all about just seeing the best of the best compete against each other, especially these Masters events. And yeah, Guild still, I think signs of life towards the end does bode well for them as they head deeper into the tournament, at least starting now from the lower bracket.
But all of their opponents are going to be difficult. It doesn't matter who gets knocked down into that lower bracket. We're talking the cream of the crop here at Copenhagen. I don't think we've ever had an event that's been this competitive, this high level. The skill in Valorant keeps going upwards and upwards.
Only gets better every single time.
Even the repeat performers continue to improve and continue to get better as well. You're seeing bigger and better performances than ever before, and Guild are not the only team playing their best Valorant.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to a short break. On the other side of things, our analysts, let's breaking it all down and setting up our second match of the day. So do not go anywhere. You know you don't want to miss it.
What a way for PaperX to make their mark here at Masters Copenhagen. They take their first game against Guild, who have looked great. But today, guys, it just felt like PaperX just looked better.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking like a contender, actually. And it's interesting and good to see because they actually fell early against DRX and had to fight through the lower bracket. That's where we really got a taste of what PaperX could show. This time, it's different.
Yeah, I guess DRX are one of the only teams that ever really be able to battle with what they have, throwing at different teams. I will say, though, that Guild, in terms of the craziness, they managed to almost deter them in a lot of the rounds we saw within this tournament, or within this matchup. So I think Safe especially had an incredible matchup, but Coldamental was up there as well. And I think he had a solid read. There were some rounds that came to almost incredibly close details, like not playing enough people on the site and having incredible mid-round calls, but that's not kind of PaperX.
Not shooting the diffuser?
Yeah. It's a small detail, man. It's a small detail.
Yeah, and speaking of detail, let's revisit this round. Honestly, it is just ridiculous.
Well, that was the thing. You can actually sort of see almost the rotations that were coming through on the other side of things, and it was just an impressive showing from Forsaken in this round, but also the utility that they actually used in these sort of scenarios to delay.
This was the round where Guild took forever to actually push through, and we're like, oh my god, this is completely different, super jarring. And it's just all quiet from PaperX. They're not pushing anywhere. And usually, you know, my 11-month-old daughter, if she's not making any sound anywhere, it's because she's doing something silly, right? So Gilda's just playing a bunch of babies on the other side.
It's too quiet.
Well, one man that's not been quiet ever since the first day he debuted here is Forsaken. He just keeps getting better and better. It's such a joy to watch him.
Yeah, that Neon was so impressive. The dude is just always, and it's funny too because he plays at such a pace that you expect his team not to be able to keep up with, and he's getting that amount of kills, getting across the map, all sorts of different things. But also his teammates feel like they have Neon buff too. Like,
I will say there are some
fast.
rounds where they definitely could not keep up with him. it's just him coming in on a flank or peeking an angle, and you just think there's no way you're sticking around here. But that's why Forsaken is so hard to play against. Is even when he makes a bad play, sometimes you're like, I can see why you did it, because the next time you do, you're gonna get 3 kills.
Yeah, he just, the confidence, right? He never hesitates. He
Off the
just
charts.
commits.
You know, COVID's hitting him really hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I wonder how they're gonna play when he comes back on stage. That's gonna be kind of crazy.
I just love as well how they're including him in every single little thing.
Yeah. Do you know what? I had a lot of fun that map. Let's revisit some of the highlights here in our Prime Gaming post-match highlights. Guild have been absolutely phenomenal so far in this tournament, but the question is, have they finally met their match in PRX today?
Oh, complete disrespect. Nice! Come on! 13-4 is a scoreline. Another day in the office, it seems like, for PRX. Adios, muchachos! Nice! That's how we play Valorant, boys!
One enemy.
Nice!
One enemy remaining.
Under the belt of PRX, they make their way for the first time in Masters into this upper bracket.
It was really close towards the end there, but the scary thing is Guild are now in the lower bracket. They haven't been in that position yet here at Masters, and they haven't had the best results in the past when they find themselves in the lower bracket.
I'm super happy because EU versus EU
For
bracket.
the love of God. I was going to be like, why are you happy about them in the lower bracket?
I just needed to
Yeah,
get a ribbon at you guys.
Tom and I are not very happy. But speaking of EU, Mitch is here actually on the show with us today. He's actually standing by right now with Ben Kai in the Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. That's right, I have got the Fade main himself here. We got Ben Kai rolling in for a post-match interview. First of all, congratulations on a very successful debut here in Copenhagen. Yes, very good game from you. Even had a knife thrown in there as well, a little bit of style. I love it, man. But let's talk a little bit about getting here all the way to Copenhagen. Your travel was a little bit tough, right? You guys didn't have the cleanest of rides over.
Yeah, so all the guys that were traveling from Singapore, we had all of our luggages delayed, and most of it was left in Singapore by the time we reached Copenhagen. And when it finally came, we had to actually send down our manager and CGO to the airport to get the luggages. It was all piled up in a really huge stack.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's a couple days without luggage. You know, you really get to settle in Copenhagen in the same outfit for a couple days. But then you guys got settled in, right? And everything was looking good. You're getting your practice. And then you get hit with this case, Forsaken, locked in the hotel room. I wanted to ask you here today, could you feel the impact of that as you were playing here on the stage without your friend?
Obviously, it's sad for us that we couldn't have him along. Like you saw, like in the post-match celebration, we left like a little gap where we could put Jason, and I guess he does feel the same, that he's sad that he couldn't come with us. But we did say we knocked the door in his hotel room before we left, and we were just like, bye Jason, have a good match, that kind of thing, you know.
Oh, it's so sweet, man. I mean, I can imagine not having the W gaming here in the arena. It's a big difference. But talking about the arena itself, you played today. You didn't play in front of a crowd, and your next game won't be either. But I think it's fair to say, right? You've got champs locked in at this point. Is that the real goal here, to get in front of the fans?
For us at PRX, the team's goal this year was just to qualify to all of these events. Yeah, so we really did that. So right now we are just sailing and just taking whatever result we get, man. We're just here to have fun.
Exactly. Everything is a bonus, right?
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. Now, starting out this game here, Ascent, we saw that map pick come in. I was actually chatting with some of the other players who were coming in, getting their makeup done, and they were like, yeah, but this is PRX's map pick. Obviously, you guys have, I don't think you've even given double digits away on that map regionally this year. It was strange for us to see that as Guild's pick. How did you guys feel seeing the veto pan out like that to start?
We kind of predicted the veto already. We didn't really expect them to pick Ascent, honestly, but we knew that they were gonna ban Bind, like definitely. I don't think any team except Fnatic would be like in their right mind to play us on Bind. But when they picked Ascent, we probably knew that they did their homework and that we had to adapt by just changing up some of our small habits that could give them a tell, and we just adjusted here and there. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this, I'll leave you on this one. Bind, no other team but Fnatic, you said. Well, you actually might get to play them, right? It's Fnatic and FPX vying for that spot up against you next. Is there an opponent there that you want to see? And would you be so bold as to give us a prediction for our next series?
I wouldn't give a prediction, but
okay,
all I'm gonna say is I just want to do a walkout with Boaster. Both of us together.
Walkout with Boaster. I would love to see that, that's for sure. And you know what? We're going to get to see a Boaster walkout in just a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us here at the post-match interview. And for now, we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, Fnatic and FPX is going to be on your screens.